Senator King, and I appreciate you raising that. I know that that was a question that Senator Manchin had. So what we might want to do is just look very...
Let the record show I had that question before Manchin
There
planted.
you go. We're going to give you total credit here. But I do think that this is an important part of what we're doing as we're learning more about these issues, looking at the legislation that has been proposed. I think we all know that that even contained within these three bills, there's going to be some things, some ideas that are going to be prompted from this, more that we might want to add. And as Senator mentioned in his opening comments, what we're seeking to do is take all these good ideas, not unlike what we did with our energy storage initiative, where we had 5 separate bills that we kind of worked together to really put together a package. And I think the goal here is to really build a robust recreation package coming out of the committee. So I appreciate the directed focus on some of this language. I think we want to make sure that again it all works. I wanted to give you, Ms. Haskett, an opportunity to respond to the same question that I had asked Mr. French about how you balance the recreation uses on BLM lands, how you determine that, and then I'll have some other questions for the rest of you. Go ahead, Ms. Haskett.
Thank you for the question. The BLM balances those resources typically through a land use plan, and also Secretary Bernhardt has issued many secretarial orders around making recreational access and streamlining permits and NEPA through several secretarial orders. And so we are following those and implementing those and, like I said, balancing those through our land use planning process.
You know, I think we recognize that the processes are a little bit different between agency, and that there is there's a difference in terms of ease of operation, what is determined to be user-friendly, consumer-friendly. So again, these are things that we want to explore a little bit further. Mr. French, I want to bring up an issue that you and I have shared when we've been out actually in the Tongass last year with the Secretary. And I raised it with the Secretary at the time because it's something that I continue to hear as I am home in the state, and specifically in the Tongass, although the Chugach as well. And this comes up when you have volunteers, people who really love their outdoors. This is our forest. This is where we play and where we recreate, and they have seen degradation of whether it's public trails or whether it's the Forest Service cabins, and all they want to do is help. They want to be the volunteers that are going to make sure that that the little cabin is kept better after they leave for their nice weekend than when they got there. And the level of frustration that I have heard from individuals that have said, all we wanted to try to do was help. And in order to be certified as a volunteer, to be able to go out, we have to demonstrate that we've got, we're certified in how to run a chainsaw, that we have full-on Red Cross training. These are men and women that know more about the Tongass National Forest than most any of us would on any given day. And they just feel like they have been disenfranchised and discouraged from trying to be good partners. And this is something that I know the Secretary cares a lot about, because this not only is good partnering, but it gives us that ownership in our own forests. And so if you can speak to what you are doing within Forest Service to look to these areas that are prohibiting or restricting volunteers from coming together to be helpful, what we can do here in Congress to to help facilitate volunteer efforts. I participated in a Park Service just volunteer day out at Rock. It wasn't Rock Creek Park. It was Great Falls area in August or September with my interns. It was a great day for us, but it was one day, and we were very strictly supervised. But we were supervised by fabulous folks from the parks. But our public lands need all of us chipping in. But it seems like our own government is the one that says, from liability reasons, it's just not safe that you go there. Help me out with this.
Okay. Thank you for the feedback. And we never want to show up in that way. We have a responsibility to protect folks. And I think that may be a space for some dialogue where we could talk about that liability side of things. On the other hand of this, we had 4.4 million hours of volunteer assistance last year. It's huge. It's critically important to us. And if there are ways that we're showing up, they're disenfranchising folks, the way that we're managing that right now is primarily through education of our own employees, of going in and talking about problem solving and finding solutions to fix that, because that's not the case in all places. When we see systemic issues, these are the places where we start to have conversations about, are there regional policies, local policies, or national policies that need to be either aligned, because that's part of our problem. We're sometimes showing up differently in different places, or we need to create some alignment across the agency. I'm always open to hearing more of that feedback, especially if we know of places where that's occurring, and we'll address it.
Well, and I know that some of the community members had, excuse me, going to come together as an advisory, an ad hoc advisory. I think that there needs to be more of that, and really working together with our Forest Service partners. I think we see some examples where it is working better than others. But I have some very, very specific stories about what we have seen with Forest Service cabins that are perfectly good, perfectly usable, but they're pretty remote. Well, Alaska and the Tongass is pretty remote. There's no roads to anything anyway, so people have to fly in. And the pushback that we're getting is, well, there's not a lot of use in that particular cabin because it is remote. Okay, that's fair. We've got to make decisions in terms of how we're prioritizing the cost. But if there are those who can then help Forest Service in some basic maintenance, instead of Forest Service saying, no, the answer here is we're going to take the cabin down because it's expensive to go check on every year, and not that many people are using it. But if there are those who can help, why are we taking down these great assets? So that's something that I'd like to explore with you and your team a little bit more. I know it just can't be related to Alaska. We've got some great facilities